Welcome to Missing on Monday, where the details of a new missing persons case will be explored each week. Some of the content covered may be sensitive. Listener discretion is advised. Good morning. Welcome back to Missing on Monday. I'm Candace.
And I am Ashley. And today, if you've been listening for a while, you may have gotten used to our the way that we do things, but today is going to be a little bit different in that we're going to be covering Andrea Knabel's story. But this time we're going to be highlighting conversations that we had with Erin Knabel, Mike Knabel, Tracy Leonard, Joe Fanciulli, Nancy Schaefer, and potentially others before Monday actually rolls around.
So basically, when we let our first episode go, a lot of the information came from the documentary that we told you guys about. Since then, we've done a lot of research and, like Ashley said, a lot of interviews.
We're talking hours and hours and days and days. So, for those of you who feel that we did not do our due diligence, we heard you, and I can promise you that our due diligence was absolutely done this time. We have extensive interviews with everyone. But what we're going to focus on today is not going to be anything other than information related to finding Andrea and or clarifying things that were misrepresented or just flat out wrong in the documentary.
Yes, I think it is very important that we do clear those things up. If you are somebody that has really honestly dove into this case at all, a little bit, or even after watching the documentary, you can kind of see that there's a divide.
There's two different Facebook groups. The first one, run by Joe and Nancy, is called Justice for Andrea Knabel. The second, run by Erin, and originally run by Nancy, but then turned over to Erin, is called Where is Andrea Knabel? And ultimately, these two groups have the same end goal, right? We want to find Andrea, but unfortunately, there's been a fallout, and we are hoping to be the neutral third party presenting information on behalf of both sides in an effort to bring everyone together, especially our friends out there on social media. It's really easy to be brave when you're behind a computer or a screen and say things that are nasty and talk about people with whom you've never met or speak on information that you don't fully understand. So what we would like to do is encourage everybody to move away from doing those kinds of things and really just kind of focus on things that can be done to find Andrea Knabel.
Yes, because that, I mean, thankfully, like, that really is everybody's goal, is to find her. So we want to, like we said, we want to be a neutral ground. We've interviewed everybody that we can on both sides, and we are here to be Switzerland, and we're gonna just bring you both sides.
And for those of you who felt that I had some strong opinions in the previous episode, you're correct. I did. And my opinions were based solely on the information that I had at the time. And I have spoken to everyone and cleared the air, given apologies where necessary. And I feel that Candace and I are on very good terms with all involved parties. So there will be no bashing of anyone in this episode. There will be no opinion or very little opinion coming from Candace and I. The information that we're going to give you today is going to be information given to us directly from the people involved in the case.
No drama here, folks.
None. Maybe another time, but not today.
Yes. Okay. With that being said, Ashley, would you like to start off?
Yes. So the first important misconception that was portrayed in the documentary that we want to clarify is that Tracy's office fire happened December 20th, 2020, which is actually a few weeks before Joe and Nancy spoke with him or ever arrived in Louisville. The office fire had nothing to do with foul play. The fire department came and investigated. It had started in another part of the building and it was due to some faulty wiring.
Tracy is currently working with LMPD. He is also currently working on a lead that could place Andrea out of her home and in another home in the same neighborhood for about 2 hours around the 2 a.m. time frame. Witnesses have come forward and there is digital records that apparently were overlooked on Andrea's phone. She was at her mom's house for about 10 minutes and then left. Her phone has still not been recovered, though.
Mike, Erin, Mark, and Tracy went door to door at every neighbor's house right after Andrea went missing, asking to review their security camera footage. Nothing was found. Joe also went door to door talking with all of the neighbors independently without Nancy. He asked for their security camera footage and found that most of their cameras were not working. And again, nothing was found.
In the documentary, Tracy was portrayed as wishy-washy and not communicative or really credible. We have talked to Tracy. Tracy did provide us proof of his PI license in Kentucky and as well as several continuing education documents which focus on managing complex fire investigations from 2009 and 2021. Tracy also provided proof that Ted is a licensed PI, but in the state of Texas as of July 27th, 2021. He works under Tracy in Kentucky, and according to Tracy, he is able to do that legally, work under him. Basically, he just reports to Tracy.
Tracy also provided us with a certificate of completion for his private investigator program that was dated 2009.
Yes.
Tracy said he waited in his new office near the office that burned down from 7 a.m. until midnight for a meeting with Joe, Nancy, and the production team. He said that they never showed up.
Tracy said he did not want to work with Joe because he was deceived by ID and thought Joe was coming in as a neutral third party with, quote, no dog in the fight. He said he didn't know Joe and Nancy were dating until after they arrived in Louisville and someone witnessed some kind of intimate interaction between the two.
Tracy told us he did not want to share information he had gathered with Joe regarding Andrea's disappearance because Joe does not have a Kentucky private investigator's license. Tracy also said he did not want to share any information with Joe after learning of his relationship with Nancy because he felt if she found out, she may compromise his investigation and potentially cause them to be sued. Joe told us that Tracy has already been sued several times. We were unable to substantiate those claims.
Joe provided an email transcript from January 15th, 2021, outlining a meeting set up by the production team for Joe and Nancy to meet Tracy at his office. Joe says Tracy never showed up for that. Joe also provided transcripts of a January 12th, 2021 virtual meeting between himself, Nancy, and Tracy that show Tracy was aware of the relationship. In the transcript, he, quote, says, "You guys look great. You look like a happy couple too. You kind of mesh well."
Joe also provided a transcript of a recorded conversation with a member of Missing in America, whose name we will not divulge, but we will confirm that it was not Nancy. This person states that Andrea was working with Tracy on a dangerous case that involved a missing person named Austin Gomez and some missing money. Erin said she spoke to Amy, who is Austin's mother, and Amy said that Mark Baker was the only person working on her son's case and was working to find him, not the missing money. And just so everyone knows, Austin Gomez is still missing and his family is actively looking for leads on his disappearance. Austin Gomez was reported missing on December 28th, 2017. At the time of the report, he was 27 years old. The LMPD was contacted and a police report was filed. The family members have not seen or heard from him since. Be on the lookout because Candace and I may be putting out a future episode that features Austin's disappearance.
Joe did provide a transcript of an interview he and John Kim, that's one of the documentary producers, conducted with Erin, where Erin stated that Andrea was actively working to get her life back on track. She was attempting to get her car fixed, she had job interviews lined up, and she was just very emotional and sad. Erin later confirmed this in an interview with us.
Joe performed a background check on Ethan and Sarah. He did not provide us with those documents, but Sarah did not have a criminal record. And while Ethan did have criminal records on file, none of them had occurred after Andrea's disappearance. Joe does not have any current leads, and the police department is not working with him at all.
Unfortunately, and basically doesn't want any of the interviews or anything that he's uncovered, really. Erin said Cheryl scheduled 2 meetings with Joe, and he did not show up for either one of them. Joe did, in fact, provide us with an audio transcript of a meeting with Cheryl that lasted an hour and 10 minutes, which included details of Andrea's life and behavior during the days leading up to her disappearance. We will not be sharing any further information about that transcript than just that.
Mike told us that he has still not had any communication with Sarah. It's been nearly 2 years since he's spoken with her. Erin also told us that Sarah has not been returning her texts or phone calls. We also want to clarify that during the documentary, it was implied that Sarah and Ethan may have fled Louisville to go live in Lexington after Andrea's disappearance. This is untrue. Sarah and Ethan live in Lexington and they have lived there for several years. They went to Louisville specifically for the renovation of her mom's bathroom.
We did ask Mike and Erin to put us in contact with Sarah, and if by some miracle that does happen, we really hope that she does choose to speak with us. Obviously, we would be able to give you guys an update at that time.
I do just want to quickly say that, Sarah, if you happen to listen to this, we would love to hear about your relationship with your sister Andrea, hear any stories that you can share with us, and really just kind of give another sister perspective similar to the perspective that was given to us by Erin.
Mike told us there was no physical violence in the house during Andrea's argument with Sarah and her mom the night that Andrea went missing. Ethan did later take Andrea to McDonald's to get some food and then to a hospital. It wasn't like a full hospital. They didn't have like inpatient beds or anything like that. To get the infected sores on her face treated and looked at. And also, we just want to throw it out there. We do know that there is a minor that is involved. I don't want to say involved in this case, but that was potentially in the car or around the house during this time frame of all of this happening. We will not speak about that minor. He is a minor child and we just won't do it. So
And we hope
there's that.
everyone who's listening will respect the family's privacy and understand that no kids should be drug into this mess. Erin told us that she called Mike while Andrea was at her house out of concern for her. Mike suggested that Erin call Cheryl and ask her to reach out to Sarah and Ethan to make sure that they let Andrea in the house because she did not have a key. Erin told us that she called her mom, and as far as she knows, her mom attempted to call them. After that, she went to sleep and doesn't have any information about that conversation between her mom and Sarah and Ethan.
So, in the episode, there was the whole fake money thing or counterfeit, making of counterfeit money. Erin and Mike said that the $100 bill was Chinese theater money. It was found among other household items, including toys her children played with, and it was clearly marked with a Chinese symbol or some kind of Oriental symbol. The storage unit had items in it from Andrea's ex-fiance Brian, and also her roommate. After further review, you can see on episode 4 at minute marker 433, there is a distinct symbol on the bill in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. We are not professionals. It was just said, so we did our due diligence, went through the episode to see if we could see what they were seeing. We're not discrediting anybody. We just are taking both sides of the story and doing what we can to bring middle ground.
With regard to phone records, LMPD actually subpoenaed phone records from Erin, Mike, Cheryl, Ethan, and Sarah when they took on the investigation when Andrea was first reported missing. These reports include texts and phone calls. They do not include any social media communications, but they were surrendered to the police department directly from the cell phone companies. LMPD is in possession of Erin's August 2019 phone records. For those of you who are concerned that those have not been handed over to the authorities, Erin can confirm that they have been.
Unfortunately, Brian Downey, that is Andrea's ex-fiance, passed away on Thursday, January 27th, 2022. Multiple sources close to the investigation have told us he had 3 breaks in his back, his kidneys were shut down, and he had blood all over his body. The sources claim he was either beaten or hit by a vehicle and then tossed off of an 18-foot bridge. His vehicle has not been recovered yet at this point. Sources close to the investigation also told us that since the documentary aired, they and their families have been stalked and that they are in fear for their lives.
We want to take this opportunity to remind our listeners that we are all adults here and we should conduct ourselves as such. Please do not harass Joe, Nancy, Tracy, Ted, Mike, Cheryl, Ethan, Sarah, Erin, or anyone else directly or indirectly involved in this case. If you have credible information to report, send it to LMPD. If you want updates on the case, call LMPD, but please be respectful. Don't involve the families or their children. It just causes unnecessary drama.
Although there's a lot of back and forth, he said, she said in this case, we really want to emphasize the fact that every person involved wants to find Andrea. The end goal is the same. No matter which side of the fence you're on, let's band together and do that. Erin has created a Facebook Messenger group dedicated to spreading awareness of Andrea's disappearance called Andrea's Angels. If you would like to join that group, please reach out to Erin via Facebook Messenger or send us an email or message and we can get you in contact with her.
We want to end this episode with some heartwarming stories that were conveyed to us from Erin. And Candace, since you are a plant lady, do you want to tell the soul dirt story?
I will. I'm a newer plant lady, but I'm not at all.
You and Erin really connected on that level, so I'll let
We
you
did.
take that away.
Um, there was just the cutest story where Andrea used to live. Apparently, she had a neighbor, and I guess he used part of her yard for some garden beds, and he like had been perfecting the soil for a really long time, and they called it soul dirt. The soil that they're used to dealing with is very clayey and it's kind of hard to grow stuff in, and he just had this magic soil and grew all of these things. And he told them that they were more than welcome to use a little of the dirt for their little garden beds up front. And Erin actually took, I don't know if it was a bucket or a couple buckets of that soul dirt, um, for herself because it just was literally amazing soul dirt. I just thought it was so cute. But that man, because Andrea let him use her portion of the yard for his garden beds, like he would come over and mow her lawn for her. And he let her take some of his goodies that he was growing, and I just thought it was such a good real neighborly story. I do for you, you do for me.
Well, there's also the story about Andrea's elderly neighbor. It was an older gentleman. He lived alone, and Erin was over at Andrea's house frequently because their kids would hang out together. There's a lot of boys in that family. So it's a lot of energy. So they would spend a lot of time outside, barbecues, and Andrea would always cook. And every time that Andrea made dinner, she would always bring a plate over to her neighbor. And it really meant something to him because it was like a sense of family and a sense of community. And they ended up forming a really strong relationship. And he really got to enjoy watching the kids play and talking with each other and learning about each other's lives. And she really just went out of her way to bring joy into his life. And I think that's fantastic.
Well, and everything that we've heard about Andrea, it feels so spot on. Like she really just cared for other people. Like a give you the shirt off my back kind of
Mhm.
situation. I might not have another one, but you can you can have mine. Another really cool thing that we found out is Andrea helped a few women that were escaping from domestic violence situations. And if you've ever been in a domestic violence situation, hand raised, it's a lot to go through. She took these women to go to an attorney. She would even go with them to court dates to support them because it's freaking scary to go to those court dates and to face your abuser. So to have somebody with you to support you through that is really honestly like almost heroic. Like it's amazing.
I agree. We do want to let everybody know that there are a couple of GoFundMe's. Brian Downey's family has set up a GoFundMe for his funeral. His death was very unexpected, obviously, and if you've ever had to plan a funeral, which hopefully you haven't, but if you ever have, you know that it's extremely expensive, especially when it's unexpected. So if you are able to donate to help the family cover those funeral expenses, we will have a link for you there. We will also share a link for Erin's GoFundMe called Where is Andrea Knabel. I know that there is a lot of drama and speculation surrounding that GoFundMe, and we won't speak on that. We won't address that whatsoever. We're simply here to provide you with information. We did as much digging as we possibly could. I promise you, we did it so you don't have to. There is, I am 99% certain, nothing that we have not uncovered about this case that is able to be given to the public.
I was gonna say, if there is anything that we have uncovered that is not in this episode, there is real good reason for it.
Please, 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 everyone, remember that we're doing this to find Andrea. We're sharing her story in hopes of finding out what happened to her. The he said, she said, the name calling, the childish behavior, it was very shocking for us to see how much of that was going on, and it doesn't help. There's a woman who is kind and beautiful and was a fantastic addition to this world, and we need to refocus our energy on finding Andrea.
Yes. And once again, I do just want to say, regardless of the circumstances that she may have been dealing with in that season of her life, we've all had hard seasons.
She's human. She's a
She
person.
is human. She had a lot going on.
She's a person, and the circumstances, like Candace said, that's perfect. That season in her life, it doesn't should have no bearing on the effort with which we put into finding her.
Exactly. So we want to thank you guys for coming back and listening to this updated episode with the drama cut out. Both sides of the story are there as much as we possibly could. We just appreciate you guys coming to listen. And if you can do anything to support the cause of finding Andrea without getting involved in the drama, that's really the way to go.
We appreciate all of the feedback that we got on our previous episode. We have used it, we have learned from it. You know, if you're disappointed, if there's something you want to see us do better, shoot us an email, missingonmondaypodcast@gmail.com. And if you're enjoying this podcast, it would really be phenomenal if you could rate us on whichever platform that you happen to be listening on.
5 stars is real great. If you want to rate us, if you want to rate us 4 stars, don't just send us an email.
But ultimately, just a gentle reminder that the world has enough negativity in it right now, and just be kind. Let's be kind to one another. Let's lift each other up. Let's help each other out. Let's lend a helping hand.
This is already a tragic situation. And the further we got into it with everything going on, it just felt even more heavy and
It's very
tragic.
heavy. We have dedicated all of our waking hours since the premiere of our previous episode into digging deeper and uncovering facts and being truth finders. And in our small amount of time digging into this story, it has taken a huge toll on us. All that to say, put yourself in someone else's shoes. These families, these private investigators, these friends, these acquaintances, everyone involved in this investigation is dealing with very difficult situations and hateful people, and that's really incredibly difficult. It's really easy to be a bully when you're behind a screen, but if you have something to say, I would encourage you to reach out to these people and talk to them directly, because they're just people, just like you and I.
Yes. We appreciate you guys so much. Like we've already said, it's been a lot for us, and we are very excited to like let our brains have a rest. Also, before we go, I want to say thank you not only to our listeners for listening. I want to say thank you to every single connection and relationship that we have made in this process. Every single person that has taken time out of their life and their investigation and their just everything. And thank you guys. Thank you.
Very grateful that
We really are.
was willing to talk with us and give us their time, because
Well, and I almost feel like even if they couldn't come together and talk, they all knew that they were all going to be talking to us. So, in a way, I kind of feel like,
it's like we're a vessel
yeah,
to get the information out there.
yes. We just
our
want to
goal
say thank you guys.
Yes, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. We will be following very closely.
If there's any updates,
You will hear it from us as soon as we're able to share. But beyond that, we will talk to you guys next Monday. Thanks for
yes.
tuning in. We love you, and we hope that you have a fantastic week.